Hi, I'm Wantola, and right now I'm not wearing pants. A lot of other producers send me tracks of theirs for me to listen to. How nice of them. And I keep telling them the same things over and over and over, and almost every time it has to do with the mix. Getting a good mix in EDM is probably the most important part. If your mix is good, you can get a good sound out of anything, no matter whether you use Harmor, Citrus, Massive, Serum, or you just get all of your sounds by slapping a laptop mic with a dildo and resampling it through 3OSC. So, here are a few quick tips to get your mix sounding a little something like this. First off, let's have a look at the different parts of the spectrum and see what they do. The lows are where the track's power comes from. They make it all rah and ah. But if there's too much stuff going on in the lows, it just sounds muddy, and we don't want that. The mids are the part of the spectrum that the human ear is most responsive to. The mids are where leads and melodies really start to shine through. But it's not just for leads. Whatever the most important part of the track is, make sure it has something going on in the mids, because that will make it audible. The highs can add shine and gloss to a track. But if there's too much stuff going on in the highs, especially around about there-ish, it sounds like this. Speaking of which, what's this thing? This is a parametric EQ. We use these to get every instrument where it belongs in the mix. A parametric EQ is made of a set of bands, which act like filters to shape the sound. You can control how each filter shapes the sound using this knob right here. I guess it's not really a knob, but whatever. Right now, this band is set to low cut or high pass because it passes sounds above a certain frequency and cuts below it. So if I brought it up, then all the lows would disappear. Let's get started. In the lows, we have the sub bass and kick. All of that stuff tends to happen below about 200 Hz. For the kick, you can see that there's this big blob starting at around 200, and that's where the punch comes from. It's where the kick gets its punch. Punchy kicks. Kick, punch, punch, okay, yeah. Whoever called it punch probably could have picked a better word for it, but let's move on to the chords. There are two cuts in the chords. One of them is in the mids, to give the leads more room, because again, the mids are for the most important part of the track, and right now, that's the leads. The other cut is a low cut, which makes room for the bass. The bass also has a mid cut for the leads, and a low cut to make room for the sub and the kick. Check this out. This is the patch I used for the chords. This is the patch I used for the leads. Notice anything different? That's because there isn't anything, and they're the exact same sound. You see, the chords and the leads are placed differently in the mix. They do different things. Like I said, the leads are important, so they mostly go in the mids. The chords are mixed out of the mids and into the highs. One thing that it's kind of hard to show when you just have a drop is that when you make a whole track, you'll have to mix each part section by section. That means, for example, if you have a spot with no leads, the mix will be different. You'll notice how it sounds flat and hollow because there's nothing going on in the mids. There was something going on in the mids, but that was the lead, and there's no lead. We can change the mix over time by automating the volume of each band. We do that with automation clips. Go to the band volume, that's this control here, and right-click on it and click Create Automation Clip. From there, you can copy the lowest value, like this, and do that. Now check this out. Sweet. Now let's do the same thing with the bass. We can actually use the same automation clip, in this case at least. But if your track's more complicated, then you probably don't want to do that. Even sweeter. One last thing. This is a quick little PSA on mastering. Don't do this. Did you hear that ringing sound at the end? The track volume should generally stay below 0, and only come up above it every once in a while with a couple really short peaks. We don't want that to happen every time there's a drum hit, because it sounds like ass. If you need a little extra volume, you can use the post gain and the soft saturation controls. But soft saturation is a type of distortion, and if you overdo it, it sounds like this. That's it. If someone sends you a track with a bad mix, try hooking them up with this video to save you both some time. You can use the timestamps in the description to jump to a specific section if there's one particular thing that really needs their attention. Cheers!